Welcome to IELTS Listening Intensive Training. Today, we study IELTS 19 Test 2. Part 2, Working as a Lifeboat Volunteer. This section has 10 questions in total, all multiple choice, including single choice and multiple choice questions. These questions can be classified as elimination filtering because we need to identify distracting information. Through elimination filtering training, you can quickly spot distractor traps and improve your accuracy. This monologue is a volunteer talking about working as a lifeboat volunteer, divided into 3 main parts. The first part of the talk focuses on requirements and training for lifeboat volunteers. It covers questions 11 to 16. The second part discusses special situations volunteers deal with. It covers questions 17 to 18. The final part talks about personal rewards and challenges. It covers questions 19 to 20. The structure is clear. Questions 11 to 16 are in the first 2 parts, questions 17 to 18 in the second part, and questions 19 to 20 in the third part. Before listening, quickly scan the questions and options. Pay attention to key words so you can listen more purposefully. Now let's move on to the first set of multiple choice questions, starting with question 11. Q11. What made David leave London for Northsea? A. Interest in boats. B. Work hours. C. Unsatisfying job. Pause to try. Keywords. Leave London, move to Northsea. Predict reason, dislike city or a hobby. Located in info block 1 beginning. Audio says, I didn't like city life and I'd been keen on boats as a teenager. Signal phrase, keen on boats, gives answer. Distractor C, audio says work was interesting, not unsatisfying. B, not mentioned. A, clearly stated interest in boats, the real reason. Q11 answer is A. David moved to the sea because he loved boats since his teenage years. Question 12. The Lifeboat Institution in Northsea was built with money provided by A, an organization, B, a member of the public, C, the local council. Pause to test yourself. Keywords. Lifeboat Institution, built, money. Expect to hear about the source of funding. Located in the beginning of the monologue. Audio clip. It was built 15 years ago with funds provided by a generous member of the public. Signal word, funds provided by. Distractor elimination. Option A, organization is not mentioned. Option C, council is not mentioned, and the audio emphasizes a member of the public donated. So, A and C are wrong. Question 12, answer is B, money from a generous member of the public who lived here. Q13. In his health assessment, the doctor was worried that David had which problem? A, colorblindness, B, short-sightedness, C, needed surgery. Please pause to answer. Keywords. Health assessment, worried. Expect to hear the doctor's concern about David's health. Located in the script, the doctor gave David a color blindness test, was worried at first, but later found it was fine. Signal words, color blindness, and, but it turned out I was okay. Distractor elimination. Option B, short-sightedness, was David's past problem, already solved by surgery. Option C, surgery, was a past treatment, not the doctor's concern. The word but shows the final result was fine, so choose A. Q13 answer is A. The doctor was concerned about color blindness, but it turned out fine. Q14. After arriving at the lifeboat station, they aimed to launch the boat within A, 5 minutes, B, 13 minutes, C, 8.5 minutes. Pause to answer. Keywords, arrive, lifeboat station, launch. Expect to hear time numbers. Listen. The speaker says, our target is to get there in 5 minutes. Then we try to launch in another 6 to 8 minutes. Signal word, then. Total time, about 13 minutes. Distractor A, 5 minutes is the time to get to the station, not to launch. Distractor C, 8.5 minutes is the national average, not this team's target. Eliminate A and C. Q14 answer is B, 13 minutes, 5 plus 8 average. Answer stamp. Q15. As a helmsman, David is responsible for deciding what? A, the speed of the boat. B, checking the equipment. C, whether it is safe to launch the boat. Pause the video and try to answer. Keywords. Helmsman, responsibility, deciding. Expect to hear about David's duties. Locate the audio. David says he checks equipment, but the ultimate decision is my decision whether it's safe to launch the boat. Signal phrase, ultimately, my decision. Distractor B. Checking equipment is one of David's duties, but the question asks about deciding. The audio clearly says the final decision is about safe launch. A is not mentioned. So A and B are wrong. Q15 answer is C, deciding whether it's safe to launch the boat. Q16. As well as going out on the lifeboat, David also does what? A. Gives talks to youth groups. B. Raises money. C. Teaches swimming. Keywords. As well as going out, lifeboat, David. Expect to hear David's other activities. Located. David says, I speak to youth groups and sailing clubs about problems when weather turns bad. Signal word, speak to youth groups. Distractor elimination. B. Raising funds is done by other volunteers, not David. C is not mentioned. Only A matches the text. Q16 answer is A. David gives talks to youth groups and sailing clubs. Next, let's move on to the multiple choice double answers section for Q1718. Questions 17 and 18 are double choice. Which two options are correct? Pause to answer. A. The residential course developed his leadership skills. B. The training and use of ropes and knots was quite brief. C. The training exercises have built up his mental strength. D. The casualty care activities were particularly challenging for him. E. The wave tank activities provided practice in survival techniques. For double choice questions, listen carefully to each option's reference. This question is about an outdoor training course. Focus on whether each activity is mentioned and positively confirmed. Avoid jumping to conclusions. Option A. The residential course developed leadership skills. The audio mentions the residential course but does not say it developed leadership. It mentions teamwork, so A is not mentioned. Eliminate. Option B. The training in ropes and knots was brief. The audio says the rope training lasted a whole day, not brief, so B contradicts the text. Eliminate. Option C. The training exercises built up his mental strength. The audio says the exercises made him mentally stronger and required willpower. This matches C, so C is one correct answer. Option D. The casualty care activities were particularly challenging. The audio mentions casualty care but says he had previous experience, not that it was challenging, so D is a distractor. Eliminate. Option E. The wave tank activities provided practice in survival techniques. The audio clearly says the wave tank simulated real sea conditions and practiced survival skills. Matches E, so E is the other correct answer. So the first correct answer is C. Training exercises built mental strength. Stamp drops. The second correct answer is E. Wave tank activities provided survival practice. Stamp drops. Final answers C and E. Next, let's move on to the multiple choice double answers section for Q1920. Q1920. Which two aspects of the work does the volunteer enjoy most? Options. A. Working as part of a team. B. Experiences when working in winter. C. Being thanked by those he has helped. D. The fact that it keeps him fit. E. The chance to develop new equipment. Pause to answer. Strategy for double choice. Quickly scan all options, then check each one if it's mentioned and confirmed. Watch for traps where options are mentioned, but then negated or not the main reason. Option A. Teamwork. The speaker clearly says, I enjoy the feeling of working in a team. Everyone supports each other. This is directly affirmed. Option B. Winter experiences. He says, working in winter is cold, but especially challenging. I really enjoy it. This option is confirmed. Option C. Being thanked. He mentions receiving thanks sometimes, but then says, but that's not my favorite part. Negated, eliminated. Option D. Keeps him fit. He says, the job does keep me active, but then stresses, however, I enjoy it, not because of fitness. Eliminated. Option E. Develop new equipment. The entire conversation never mentions anything about developing new equipment. Not mentioned, eliminated. Answer confirmation. First correct option is A. Teamwork. Stamp drops. Answer confirmation. Second correct option is B, winter experiences. Stamp drops. Final answer, A and B. Okay, we've finished all the questions. Let's review the main techniques we used today. The speaker first gives wrong information, then corrects it with a transition word. This is called strong distractor with deviation. For example, in question 11, the speaker first said near the car park, then corrected to Main Street. That's a strong distractor. The answer comes after a signal word, but there is a modifier before it that limits the meaning. This is called information lag with limiting modifier. For example, in question 13, the speaker said most of the time before giving the main answer. We need to wait patiently. In the recording, words are weakly pronounced or linked together, so they sound different. This is called weak pronunciation and linking. In question 15, would have is pronounced as would've. If you're not careful, you might miss it. These three techniques often appear in listening. Pay attention to transitions, signal words, and pronunciation changes to improve your accuracy. Finally, let's learn some important vocabulary from this listening passage. Vocabulary card 1 shows 4 important paraphrases. Notice how the speaker expressed them. Vocabulary card 2 continues with more paraphrases. Mastering them helps you understand the recording better. That's all for this section. Hope it helps. See you in the next one.